Modern day life, modern day challenges, modern day conversations. Welcome to the Wellness Pod, a platform for community building, holistic living, and guided self-discovery. Join me, Wolf-like Ross, and certified life and wellness coach Agatha Atlholang as we explore blended families, the unique dynamics, challenges, and triumphs of the modern day family unit. In this conversation, we discover the ways by which to create harmony within the blended family structure. This episode is proudly brought to you by FS Mail Group. Leading us into what's quickly becoming one of my favorite features on this show, a brand new feature that we have launched just a week ago called the Wellness Pod. This is where I have the honor and the privilege of sitting down with my good friend and longtime colleague, Miss Agatha Atlholang. She is a certified wellness coach, and they call her boss lady in the streets, but she's not here to play with us tonight because tonight we're discussing a topic that has really a lot of people on edge in terms of just Botswana society at large and affects us all, whether we think we know it or not. You know, we have had a conversation on this show to say, even if something isn't specific to you, it does affect you in the broader scheme of things because this is our Botswana after all and our society at large. So if you can, I would love for you to stay for a little bit of while. We go till now, from now till 8:30 p.m. and we can start right now with our topic on blended families. Agatha, I'd like to welcome you to the Wellness Pod for a second week in a row. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me. And again, Ross, I applaud you. I applaud Gabs FM for this initiative.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah, we've been chilled up till we got on the mic, and now suddenly you're up here.
We're up here.
Yeah.
You have that thing, that effect on me, you know?
Hey, this spicy nyana le tsone tota ka botsone hela.
Seriously.
You know, but you know, when we get straight into things,
Yes.
Agatha, let's talk about, you know, when I say blended family.
Yeah.
I'm sure, you know, everybody sitting down listening to us right now, ona le ka ha bonang so se go tweng blended family ka teng, right?
Yeah.
Somebody has an idea of something or has a scenario in their mind when they think the phrase blended family. If you're listening to us right now, I'd like you to think about what your definition of that is, hella, while we're sitting here, so that, you know, as we talk about it, we can get into maybe some misconceptions that you have or some just different perspectives that you have about blended families. But I'll start with you, Agatha, and say, when we say blended family, what is your definition of that?
When we talk about a blended family, we're talking about a family where two individuals are coming through with children from previous relationships.
Right.
It could be Mr. A and Miss A coming together. They've got children from relationship being wekwa, and here they're trying to come together, get married, and start a blended family, which is a family ya bana ba tswang kakwa le bana ba tswang kakwa. So in essence, I'm bringing my kids, Thomas is bringing his kids. Thomas says, we really want to have a family now. I want to have a family. I'm going to marry you. I'm bringing my two, your two. Let's do this thing. Let's blend this thing. Family.
Right.
Yes.
So can a blended family be considered as, you know, somebody without kids marrying into a situation where somebody else has kids? Can we also call that a blended family?
Absolutely. Look at me. I'm 43 with no kids.
Yeah.
At some point, I might want to get married. I don't know. Chances are at 40...
Do you, though, for anyone listening?
Another time. Yes, but I might want to get married at some point. Some gentlemen might want to come through. Chances are I'm probably going to meet somebody who right. Either God forbid and then he decides, you know what, let's say maybe he keeps the kids or whatever it is. I want to get serious. So yes, you do have situations here and there where you will find that there are people who are coming into these marriages without children, and then the other spouse it's rare. but it's there.
But it happens. Right. Okay. Now that we have, laid it out,
Yes.
this is what a blended family actually is. I'd like to invite you into the conversation. 3956962 is the number to call us if you have any questions or comments that you might want to throw in as we go along, right? It's not just a conversation between Agatha and I, but it is open, right?
Yep.
So let's start, Komuding. We like to start at the root when
Yes.
we have these discussions, right?
Yes.
Let's talk about now when family A is together one day and then over time things deteriorate and they break up, right?
Yes.
Two people break up who have children.
Yes.
Let's talk about now the differences between children who are being raised by their mom, a single parent,
Yes.
and the and that difference towards children who are being raised by just their dad. Would you say there are differences between those kids?
There are absolutely differences between those kids. I mean, if a father, we're looking at masculine and feminine. So masculine and feminine have different traits.
Right.
So obviously the children are going to be nourished in different ways. You know, a mom is going to be the hana le ngwana mosimane, hana le ngwana mosetsana, is going to nourish those kids more from a feminine perspective, and the gentleman eneka kohela, who's a single dad, he's going to nourish the kids more from a masculine perspective. So at the end of the day, hela ka utlwa ke bua yana, those children go na le ha ba teng go shota teng. If you, Ross, have two kids, a little boy and a little girl, usually what happens is haole a single mom, ngwana o totanga flourisha thata kwa mosetsanyana.
Right.
Because you're a mom and you gravitate more to the little girl. You understand the little girl more by default because she's feminine, you're feminine.
Right.
The little boy is going to be left behind a little bit, not because o thaola bana, not because gaona nako ya ngwana, but because by virtue of the fact ya gore you are not a man and you don't have certain characteristics and certain energies that are required to nourish ngwana mosimane. Go morata o ka morata.
Right.
But things like, playing a certain way with a little boy, you're going to be so overprotective, guy,
Right,
and he's
right.
got to learn how to be a little boy.
Right.
There are conversations he's not going to be able to talk to you about because he doesn't want to tell mommy doesn't want mommy to say, oh baby, you know what I'm saying? Similarly with the gentleman, monna ko ha godisa his little boy and his little girl, guess who's going to be left behind?
The
little
girl,
girl.
yeah.
And the boy is going to flourish. So then there are those parents who are very sensitive to this and realize this, and they're like, you know what? Maybe, just maybe it would be best to have a partner, yes, for myself, but also maybe for my kids. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To balance this thing out, gore wa mosimanyana le ene a kgone go utlwa gore ga go te monna o godisiwa ke monna go tewa yang, ga go te o na le rragwe go tewa yang. Similarly with the gentleman, he might feel gore o itse re keng ngwana ke gongwe o tlhoka mmagwe bo ngwana ke ba tlhoka mmagwe. They need more of a feminine touch in terms of the two kids, and that's if you're raising bana ulunusi as a woman, and they need more of a masculine touch. You're raising bana ulunusi as a female. So
Right.
that's how we then come to this a situation where we blend, because really bile kgolo ya bana ebile re itibile le rona gore we are built and made for companionship, and this is why we end up having this family.
Right.
Wow, ke bothale.
Actually, as a matter of fact, yes, quite. Let's talk about, I don't want anybody who's considering this, line of discussion ever to stray away from the fact that children are the main character of this whole situation. It is not about you and the new love that you have. Well, it is, but you are the supporting character and not the main character. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So here you are, you've separated from your family and you are looking to start a new one. You've met a new person and you want to now integrate them very seriously into your life now.
Yes.
Now, how do we, what are the practical ways that we can ensure that we are not traumatizing our children throughout this whole process? How do we do it with as minimal tension as possible and, try to go about it the right way?
I think before we even go to that, Ross, I want to go back to what you've said. You are just so smart, and so mature. It's very important for individuals to understand that marriage was created for children,
Right.
not parents. I want that to sink in. Listener at
Please,
home.
actually, let's talk about that. What does that mean?
Marriage is made for the children. It was created for the children. It was not created for adults. This is what I mean. Bana, ha go sena lenyalo. As I've been explaining earlier on, ga gona botsadi jo bo solid. Jo e leng gore bo kgona go dira jang, bo kgona go godisa ngwana. The psychology of a child requires two parents. The statistics are out there. The statistics are there in terms of psychology. Gore, children who come from single parent homes, whether be the dad or the mom, don't do as well or don't fare as well. Okay,
Right.
as compared to bana ba e leng gore they come from homes se leng gore di na le mama le papa. So God in his infinite wisdom knew and he designed it that way gore bana ba tsholelwe mo lenyalong, because when a child comes through, individuals, be it men or women, have two parts in them. They've got the masculine and the feminine. And this is why we needed the mom and the dad to come together as a unit, as a united front for these children.
Right.
Right? So that gape lenyalo le dira gore o ska tswahela jaaka o bata.
Right.
If we
It's a regulatory sort of force and an energy.
Exactly.
Hey.
Ross, if you are coming into a marriage and your better half is coming into a marriage, libiditse baholo. Libiditse borangwane.
It's serious business.
This is serious business. You are literally, your surname Kitiam, you are dropping a certain gentleman's name.
Yeah. And taking another.
This is a man who has nurtured you, protected you, provided for you for how many years? 30-something years. For you to just drop that surname like that is a serious thing.
Yes.
And for your better half to take on his it's serious business. So people need to understand that we needed this to be serious business for the sake of the kids.
Right. So now that we've defined why marriage exists for children, then we're going to take a short break and then come into now that transition into, starting a new family. Right? Beginning from scratch. 3956-962 is the number to call us on in just a little bit when we come back. That number's on WhatsApp as well. +267-3956-962. If you're just tuning in, you have made it to the Wellness Pod. This will be every Thursday here on Purple Nights between 7:30 and 8:30 p.m. featuring my good friend Miss Agatha Atlholang, wellness coach, tonight in conversation about blended families. If you're just joining us, my name is Ross and I'm the host of this here show. And on Thursdays, we have Miss Agatha Atlholang in studio, who is a certified wellness coach. We don't just do things haphazardly here. People are certified in this room, okay? And, you're joining a discussion here about blended families. We've agreed to split it into two parts. So you will have the privilege of listening to it again next week. But today we're going to cover the fundamentals, right? And I'd love for you to join in the conversation. +267-3956-962 is the number to dial so that you can give us a call if you have any commentary you'd like to share, as well as on WhatsApp. That's where we are, and we would love to hear from you. So that line is absolutely open to you. Now, before the break, we did discuss, Jorge, this is what a blended family is. It's when, a family is not together. One person has children and another person has children or doesn't have children, but children are involved in some way, shape or form. And these two people come together and now, the family is blended. For all intents and purposes, it's as straight up as it is called, right? Yeah. So, my question to you before we took a break, Agatha, was how do we ease children into a situation where they're entering a blended family? But before that, would you say that this is something that is simple to do? Would you say that?
Ross, to be quite honest with you, and this is the beauty of having this show, It's to make people understand the realities of these situations. You know, we often glamorize divorce. We often glamorize separation. We don't focus too much on who agisanya batho. You know, nowadays it's so easy to just leave a marriage. But the sad reality is, and any one in the wellness fraternity in terms of mental health professions, be it psychologists, marriage counselors, but divorce is a very painful thing. It doesn't just affect you, it affects your children as well. And this whole thing of blended families, as we can see today, it is very, very difficult. And one of the reasons why it's so difficult is because as Botswana, we are not very much in touch with our emotions. That's the first thing. Secondly, we are not really at our core in our individual spaces before we even go into marriages, before we even have children. And there's also an element, we don't understand that we have to work hard for our relationships. Also, we still have this mindset. Could I even see it with modern day humans, you know, like even the younger generation? Children are still not seen. I mean, like, children are seen and not heard. Right. So we don't understand that when we separate, children are also impacted negatively by this. So picture this, Ross. You're married, you're with your husband there, and then you decide to take the kids. Things are not working out, and then you decide, Zamaya, your friends are encouraging you, Zamaya, or whatever, or legit, and that's fine. We cannot also force people to be in marriages that are not working. So there you are, Zama, and you think, in your mind, you're like, okay, I'm an adult. This person that I'm going to meet is an adult. We can do this. So you meet this guy, awesome guy, likes you. You guys do your thing. He's got his kids. You have yours. At some point that you decide, okay, let's do this. The expectation is that Rabatona, we can manage this.
Yeah, since we both understand what we're getting into, we both know what Agatha has 2 children, Habiso has 2 children. Let's rock.
What you don't understand is that Peter and Dineo Wahaho, they are grieving the loss of their father.
By way of him
Divorce.
being in the marriage, not their death, but
by him leaving the marriage, right? So you're divorced.
Yes.
So how le divorced Diana bana they are grieving the loss of their father. They are grieving the loss of a stable family, what they know to be normal. Their normal has been taken away from them. Similarly, with this new gentleman, his kids are going through the same thing. So the stability has gone there for Bana. Bana, they are grieving batsadi babone. 2, Bana bagago, they have to deal with sharing you with new people. They're sharing you with this new stepfather and these stepbrothers and stepsisters. Similarly for the gentleman who's coming to marry you with his kids are experiencing the same thing.
Right.
Thirdly, the children have to now, they've got a sense of in that they're going to start feeling like they have to choose sides. This new stepmother, now they feel like they're being disloyal to their real mother.
Can I like her? Am I free
Am I
to
allowed
fall
to
in
like
love with
her?
this new woman? You know,
Auntie
what about
Agatha's
her
cool,
ideals?
Ghana.
And, you know, what if she wants to go on vacation with us this weekend, but this was the weekend I was supposed to see my mom.
And she's more fun, but, you know, but my mom's always been there, you know?
Yeah.
So we don't realize this. Because Rona, we want what we want as adults.
Because I found this new person. Who else is going to be willing to take me, you know, with my children? With my children.
Exactly.
This works.
You see what I'm saying? So we fail to recognize that as the adults. And honoho, that's when we need external forces to intervene and to help us. First and foremost, Ross, go na le morero le motheo mo sengwe le sengweng. Setswana se re ruta so seo. Ha o phuaganye dilo hela, that's why pele re le ka go laagisanya re le bagolo. It's the same thing when it comes to blended families. The first thing, kana go na le kgang ya gore ro se tshwantse ro tlhaloganya gore bana ba o ba tsayang ba reyo, you will never be their mother.
No.
They have their mother.
Try as you may.
Try as you may.
Yes.
Let this gentleman must understand that he will never ever be ragwe bana ba. Mo go reelang gore gono ho, we have to learn how to win the trust of bana to a point where leng gore re kgona go tshedisanya sente. Then go na le kgang ya gore wena Rose le your ex le santse le na le kgothanya ya lona ko. Your ex is also dealing with the fact that there's this new rabakinyana in his home. O leng gore is making his ex-wife happy le bana ba gagwe. So go na le commotion ho. Le ene reyo o dila le the fact ya gore his stepwife has an issue with you, the new wife.
His ex-wife. Eh?
Yes. Remember the ex-wife.
Yeah.
Let me give you a scenario. Happy bidu anyele ya Taraji, that movie.
Acrimony. Eh.
This new woman is living my life. Ross, you are living my life. Can you say my ex-husband?
Yes.
My ex.
Yes. And it's worse now because your kids are involved. So now she thinks she's my children's mother.
So do you see the emotions? Do you see the psychological turmoil from the ex, the previous, bana, homo, it's a mess.
Right. That's actually what I want to now get into with you is the things that we need to consider when we think about even blending our families. Because, I want you to remember the fact that I'm also going to ask you about, how do I now go about introducing my new person to these children? Right. But before we get there, actually, let's take a call. Gabs FM, good. 3956962 is the number to call. I lost that line, but you are absolutely welcome to call us back. We would like to or love to have your interaction on the show. We're on WhatsApp as well on the same line. All right. So my question to you, Agatha, is what does one need to consider as Ross coming into, say, a situation where somebody has children, right? What do I need to consider? Because you've just mentioned so many people, it is a network of people that I have to get past. There's levels, right? This man's ex-girlfriend or
what we
ex-wife.
forgot? We forgot the extended families. In the ex-wife.
Absolutely. So I want you to mention you are dealing with this man or woman's family.
Yes.
Exactly. You're dealing with ex-wife we're dealing with that family. We are dealing with yours as well, who don't understand. Why don't you just find yourself somebody you're dealing with this person's ex, the person's ex's family as well. What are the things that I need to consider as somebody looking to blend a family or enter that situation?
First and foremost, Ross, I would say to you, if you don't have children, right at the top, and I know people will feel some type of way about this, it is not a good idea for you to put yourself through that, especially if you're not working on yourself and if you are not at a certain level of emotional maturity.
You mean even if I love him?
What is love? Because love is not enough. That's what people need to understand. There's reality, there's real life. By the time you're not their mother, love, there's no love there. So to single girls, I would say to you, it can work, but there's a lot of internal work you're going to have to do. Otherwise, you're going to find yourself in a situation where you are very naive. You don't know how to deal with this new situation. I mean, if it's your child who you've birthed, so Santa, connection how nna le ene 9 months Ross ga e tshwane le ngwana o tsena mo lenyalong o tsena o mo ithela le 6 years old go to mo godise
go sa kgathalle gore a wa morata kana because you can actually really love that child.
Exactly. So there's a connection in terms of natural birth and ngwana gola mo go wena and all sorts. So you've got to learn you've got to go on your own personal journey.
We had a caller, but we lost that line. +26739569662. I don't know what's going on with my line today, but if you've just been trying to call us, you are absolutely welcome to do so before we move on to something else. All right.
So yes, you have to get professionals on board to sit with you and explain to you these are the realities of this situation. It can work, Ross, but like now for me, I could never have been a stepmom in my 30s. I'm 43 now. I feel I can do it because of the work that I've done and because I'm a life coach. I coach through these kind of things. I'm set. Right. But I know that in my 30s, I would have just sat there and said, we have had incidences more the newspapering where we see but sadi they've beaten children to pulps. Men have had to leave women because of the abuse. Women have had to leave men because I
actually know, this is coming to mind as you're talking about this one scenario where I heard a story of, and these are people that I know. I heard a story of, it's just, this girl growing up in her family. It's hunky-dory, as she thinks, she's got her mom, her dad, and her older brother, right? Mehela, when her older brother is punished.
Yes.
The punishment just seems more severe. The punished by their father. The punishment just seems more severe. Go and sit outside and think about what you've done.
Oh, wow.
You know what I mean? So, one day, this girl's brother walks up to her and says to her, you know what? I don't think Papa's my dad. Actually, your mom, his mom came into this marriage with him, as they say. And, he has been under the impression that this is his father. But, just by the treatment, he can even tell Hela as an adolescent, I don't think this man is my father.
And that's exactly what we're speaking to right now. It's not as simple as people want to make it seem. And we are very ignorant of how we are wired psychologically as men and women and as people, as mothers and fathers, as step parents, and how we see. So these are things that you need to consider. We're not saying because, as we've stated, there are situations where divorce is necessary. We can't do with a marriage it's abusive or whatever. That's also not good
to damage
the kids as well. We get that. But at the end of the day, there are issues surrounding this. And we really, really have to put in the work, put in the effort, and find people to help us out. So back to your question, Ross. It's possible, but you have to do the work. And, the other thing is your partner needs to be very supportive, and you both have to be very honest. And the problem with us as couples is that we're not honest with each other. That's why our marriages don't work. Botswana, for example, we are shamed because of this is what I feel like. I want to be able to tell you what I'm struggling to love this child, because what I can accept, that I can heal. But if I cannot voice it, I'm not going to be able to heal this thing. So I want to be able to tell my husband, you know what? I'm struggling here. Hey, I need help. I need this. Let's go together. Let's go see somebody. No, expectation. It doesn't work like that.
That's true. Let's
Our personalities are different.
We'll do it. And thank you for bringing that to the forefront, because I know, Agatha, that there's someone already and they think, man, that's me. I don't love these kids.
ko spateleng a lebile ngwana go ka roka motsa ba mo frinyetsa go kgakala kwa. Those things they happen. Go teng go na le that feeling ga go bidwa postpartum depression. Those things are there. We've got to support people through that.
Oh, I think I want to go home. Is there any way I can leave?
Ella, stay here, girl.
8:10 is your time on Gabs FM Part 2 Engage Your World. We're in conversation with Miss Agatha Atlholang. She's a certified wellness coach, and tonight we are talking blended families. Now, if you have any questions at all or a comment you'd like to make, and you are absolutely welcome to stay anonymous. +267 3956 962 is the number to WhatsApp. We're going to take a short break. In just a minute, we'll be back on the other side of this, all right? 8:13 is your time on Gabs FM Part 2 Engage Your World. Agatha in the background because of the discussions that we're having in studio with our team. And really, if you're just joining our discussion, welcome. First of all, I'd like to start by welcoming you to the Wellness Pod here on Purple Nights. Every Thursday now between 7:30 and 8:30 p.m. We take our time, right?
Yes.
This is a version, it's a low-key version of Ikage Motswana, if you ask me, And, I sit here with my good friend Agatha, and we really talk about, we have conversations that need to be had. With your help, of course, you are absolutely invited to have this conversation with us via +267 3956 962. That's our number. As well as on WhatsApp as well, right? And before the break, Agatha, you gave us a really hard pill to swallow, right? Where you said, Jorge, it is natural.
Yeah.
I think what we were laughing about in studio was the difference between normal and natural and what feels right or wrong to do, right?
Yeah, and I think, Ross, just to chip in there, sometimes when you're there and you feel that way, sometimes it's not even that. It's the circumstances around it. Now I'm overwhelmed. I've got 4 kids now. I had only 2. And you project in your own way. But it's overwhelming, and you project it on the children.
And maybe those children are rejecting you as well.
So these things, guys, just relax.
Right.
There's a way to go through it through the help of a coach, through the help of a marriage counselor, through the help of people by that are well versed in these kind of situations.
Right. Yeah. And that's what I want us to wrap up our conversation with today, right?
Yes.
We've got about 10 minutes to, just try to compress it into this little time. Agatha, for somebody out there right now, already has met somebody, and maybe, right? And they want to bring their families together because they have fallen in love and they think that they could work.
Yes.
Let's start us off from the very beginning about what should happen here. Must I go and meet Thomas's kids to see if I vibe with the kids, such that I might be able to enter his family, or must I let Thomas come and meet my kids? Let's take a call first. Gabs FM, good evening.
Hello.
Hello, sir. How are you?
I'm well. How about the blended? What's wrong with having children that aren't yours, or having a partner? Like, I don't understand why people find it so difficult to accept someone else and what they come with. Is it not just baggage? As we get older, it goes from relationship trouble to having kids and debts and whatever.
I think one thing that you need to understand, that's a very good question, but what you need to understand is that, and I see this all the time, and I don't mean this in a disrespectful way, but wana rona hela as Botswana hela mo gae mo re tsa dilo mo thoho tota kore we just assume gore rothe re godile go tshwana mo lapeng. We assume gore mongwe le mongwe o hilwe lerato ya ka wena o khona go accepta ngwana o mongwe, so you take it for granted gore le nna ke tswa yalo wena o mpatangwe le gore yana re bata go simolla me ga o itse gore nako ke tswang teng go ne go le hectic, go le chaotic. I get gape ga reng ke re tsena deep into gore re godisitswe ya mo malapeng.
Where did you come from?
Where did you come from? So one of the way o botsa mpotso, it's warranted because we botsa from your reality. and how you grew up.
Certain space.
Exactly. Ibile gongwe wena, you are in you grew up in a blended family. Go no go siame. You see? But the other person, so what I want you to understand, and to everybody listening, is that our realities are different. And this is...
if I could ask, is it a matter of the culture? Is it a matter of us and the culture and our personal perspective? Because we are a result of the culture, each of us individually.
I like to be very careful about using that word culture, because I don't think the culture is the issue. I think individuals are the issue. Marriage is not the problem. The problem is the individual. Our culture is not a problem. But if Malome is not stepping up in the office, we cannot say the office is the problem. Malome ke ene problem. That was we tsorile go te monna ke selepe ne go tewa yang actually to correct you. Ne se gore monna o khona tsa madira ya ka bata. Ne le gore monna o khona go thusa basadi ba ileng gore ba ne ba sena banna mo malapeng. Go rema gore you see where the problem is, and I love that you use that. So because rona re new age, we don't get into it. Re tlhaloganya gore tota di utse go ne go tewa yang. So there's that thing, but you're absolutely right. You how poso go botsa so se botsang, and you're highlighting, you're allowing us to highlight this thing ya gore re tlhaloganya gore rothe gare and this is why it's very important. You know what I always say, my brother, aside, let's get to know each other. Because what happens? You let them slide. You know how way back in the day we used to go on dates, we used to get to know each other, and you could see the red flags and you would address them and nip them in the bud. We are too fast. Because you've already connected, you've been intimate physically, and no,
that is a thing that happens. Yeah, that actually happens. I
don't know if I've answered you.
Yeah, we lost him along the way,
shame.
but I assume that he's still listening. So
but I love his question.
Thank you for calling in, actually, and putting that those views on air. Is we need to have these conversations.
Exactly.
3956-962. If you'd like to get your comment across as well, or ask a question, we are on that same line on WhatsApp as well. So and we were talking about now
stages.
Stages. How do we go about this?
Right.
Do we first test the waters to see if, I don't know if my kids will like you, let me bring you around once or twice. How do we go about those things? Because I can guarantee you that is the order that a lot of us might be approaching things from.
Now, first and foremost, it's a bad idea to take your children and meet or introduce it to your new person. There's steps, there's ways to do this. Remember, like we're saying, I'll give you an example. My mother died when I was 21 years old. My father never remarried. But I can tell you how I would have felt if my father would have brought Mosadi Molaping. My father decided he was not going to do any of that. And but he had it in his mind and I could be betraying something. But that is not to say that was his decision. That's not to say. So how do we then do it? First and foremost, Ross, you've got to be very sensitive. You found a new person, okay? You must understand that whatever it is that we're doing here, we want to transition the children into this. We want to win the children to ourselves, to this new marriage. First and foremost, the other thing is the mother is a part of this. The exes, the exes are a part.
The father or the mother.
Exactly.
But the ex.
When you start to date and you can see that this relationship is going somewhere, I have met somebody. Ha ke meeta somebody yana ha ke go bolelle hela ka gore ke batla go kgantsetsa ke go bolelela ka gore this is going to affect ngwana rona o rragwe bo ngwanake, and as such ke tshwantse re ke go nela that respect because ke to tlhoka gore o nthuse because wena la ga go ha o bua ngwana o to reetsa, as opposed to more this father. So we need an allegiance, we need an alliance, Hannah.
Right.
Right.
So the first conversation is with your ex. That's number one.
That's number one.
Right.
Then kantaniana wa bua bore hey kana mister o go serious ya nung kana ke tato ga ke nyalwa. Remember, we still haven't introduced the kids.
The kids have not come into the equation.
Not at all.
Hey.
You cannot be introducing monna to bana ba gago o se sure gore wa nyalwa. Because how many men are you going to introduce to these kids? And obotakataka ngwana. Same thing le monna. How many women is he going to introduce to ngwanayo? So there is that thing. And then before that, you guys have to get to know each other. So this new person in your life, I get it, there's the new guy, there's the ex. They've got to get to know each other.
Let's take a caller. Gabs FM, good evening. Oh, 3956-962. That keeps happening and I'm not sure why, but if you'd like to get into contact with us, 3956-962 is the number. Or you could simply send us a WhatsApp on that same number as well, all right?
So comes the meeting stage
of your new person
and your ex. Right?
Yeah.
Because now you have to have that conversation. Rona, we want to go forward.
And a lot of people are sitting listening to this conversation right now and thinking, Agatha, wa peka. There is no way, Agatha, because there is no way my ex and my new person are coming into a room, because we've got a lot of situations, and this is no joke, where people are not on good terms with their exes.
Can I stop you right there?
Hey.
This is why Kiri hali divorce. Velitse gore go go pele kwa. A go tshamekiwe. Gore ke rata gore ntha o ri alo ntha o re la maitso. That is not our reality.
That is another
re simolotse ka show ka gore re simotse show ya Andros. A re listen go glamorize dilo, because go kopele kwa go berekwa emotionally, and that's something that we don't know. As
Batswana, because it is a feat.
Do you know that there are people sitting down right now ba kanya di steps tsote ga ba bolo go di tola tsote?
Yeah. Yeah.
So we have that situation this is why we tell our kare makgoa they succeed more than rona, because makgoa ba butse dipelo.
And that's controversial.
Rona ga ra bula nna kana re mahuto tota re mahuto ra tshwara rose la go se kana gompieno ana ha o tiko gore I get kana I went viral na go tsenga be ke ntse ke tshwere go mo ha ke a bola o togela go mo. That's why you've got to work on yourself.
Yeah, let things go.
Because now here you are, you have to talk to this new person who wants to be your children's new baby daddy or whatever it is. It's difficult. You are sitting there thinking, I'm losing my kids to this guy.
Yeah.
Was a Range Rover. Oh, he's a go pagalani. When on so go block 7.
Yeah, and you choose to make the situation difficult.
Exactly.
The other person.
Now, this is why we need professionally. Easier into matelo rona. Do you see how difficult it is? And that's why we don't do it, because it's difficult.
Yeah, we don't like to do the hard things.
It calls you to a higher standard and a higher frequency.
Yeah.
What hata, guys? This thing
see how hard it is, and we are only on step 2. Kana step 1 was what?
Step 1 ke gore wa go nna o bua le your ex wa molella gore ya nong ke a jola. Remember ex yo le yone ntse ina le go punyana ya gore le ka nna la boela.
Right.
So una le maikuto le ene ya no o tenegile ya no o motela ka story. Jiki after 6 months o motela ka se sengwe story mo ra go wa nyalwa.
It's escalated.
Ya escalate ya no. You want him to meet this new man.
Yeah. The nerve. Yeah.
The nerve. Hey, so there we are. Then we have to get to a situation in this guy everything's going to be about the children. If we need a third party to intervene, let the third party intervene and teach us how to manage ourselves. But you know what? In as much as it's difficult in the beginning, it's a beautiful thing to watch.
Yeah.
Because blended families where individuals come to a higher standard, ele bagolo, those that the children gain 4 parents should your ex get married. So in this scenario, let's say when and this guy who's single, your ex, these are children gaining 3 individuals from them. Look at it from that perspective.
So if you do the work, there's so much more to reap
For the
at
kids
the end.
to benefit.
For you and the kids as well.
Exactly.
Hey.
I mean, imagine your stepmom is a life coach. You know, you can talk to her. You know, she's out there. She's a fitness fanatic. She's doing all these amazing things. You know, those kind of things, you know. So if we don't look into that, it becomes very problematic. And then obviously after that, there are situations we all sit together. Because Ross, remember, the reason why you need your ex in
Right.
Yole aba khona go pick up dilo tse di sa nnang sente ka your new person.
Right.
So we have to start this relationship where you get to know each other gore unfeel safe this ex gore monna yo indeed ke motho.
Right.
You see?
No, I hear you.
So it's important.
We have to wrap up very quickly now because we are out of time, but we're going to take one WhatsApp and then, you know, then we can wrap it up. This one says, what if you and your lady are good, but her kids are extremely undisciplined and they can't even greet or clean or bath, yet very controlling to their mother. Mom listens to kids, but kids can't take instructions from mom.
That is a situation, like I'm saying. These are not answers you're going to think, okay, here's an answer now.
Right.
It's a process. Because banabao, clearly, there's a way banaba hodisuwa ka teng. Wena like na ke tswa ko bokalaka, there's a lot of discipline. No shade to
No shade
to ke I mean like ke mongwaketsi but ke goletse ko bokalaka, but I do know how we operate on that end. So now how do we then do this? It's a process, and that's why we need life coaches and all of that to start because you could be the man o batla go discipline bana, and then your partner feels some type of way your style of discipline.
Maybe you feel like you don't hold enough weight to come in and say that because we're not bana, so she's going to tell you this is way to get off. You have no idea because these are my children and you've never been a parent. So, you know, what you're saying is 100%. We need intervention of therapy. We need healing. You need to be able to have a conversation. These are some of my concerns and I don't want you to bite my head off, you know, but I think we need to address A, B, C, and D and take it from there.
Absolutely, Ross. And like we're saying, you know, these things are possible. We can, it's not all doom and gloom. It becomes doom and gloom if we don't want to do the work. That's all I can say.
The work needs to be done.
The work needs to be done. And we all need to get the work done because that's why we get divorced. We get divorced because we didn't do the work in the beginning.
Yeah.
You understand?
Well,
and remember, Ross, real quick, 50% of the marriages, first-time marriages, they end up in divorce. 75% are second marriages, end up in 75% of them divorce. Then 80%. One of the statistics
I thought it was going to get better. He's just coming to me with bad news.
You know why? Because we're not doing the work. We are projecting from the last marriage. Into this one. It's a mess.
Which is exactly what we're going to discuss in part 2. Yes, there will be a part 2 of our wellness pod discussion on blended families next week, Thursday, between 7:30 and 8:30 p.m. If you've been with us, if you're only just joining us and catching this discussion at the end, thank you still for dropping in. And if you've been through us or with us throughout the whole discussion, then thank you as well. You know, we'd like to express our deepest gratitude just for joining us in this conversation, because this conversation is is not for Agatha and I in studio, basadi baba balabalang.
Yeah.
It is, for the community at large and Moretsi wa Gabs FM to be able to take and, do something with that so that we are all collectively responsible for our community. I get
100%.
I must say thank you as well to you, Agatha, for agreeing to do this feature with me and to start this new movement on Gabs FM. I am eternally grateful for you. And I respect you on a very deep level. So thank you
so much, my baby.
Yeah.
Likewise. And to those of you who want to watch more of this content, Renale, a YouTube channel, Ikage Motswana The Pod. Please go check it out. We're talking socialization. It's for Botswana so they can become better people, better individuals.
Yeah.
If you want to give us a call, Ikage Motswana for our coaching services, catch us on 75749948. That's 75749948, or drop us an email at info@genuinefitnessbw.com. That's info@genuinefitnessbw.com.
That's the one. Agatha, thank you so much. I'll catch you. Tota, you and I have a meeting the day before and then on the actual day.
And I love how organized you are, You're so smart.
Thank you so much for joining us. Continuing with Purple Nights all the way till 10 p.m. My name is Ross and I'm your host for the evening. Thank you so much for joining me. Good evening. This episode is proudly brought to you by FS Mail Group.